Welcome everyone to the BattleBots Reviewer. I'm your host Josh Mitchell. Today we will be breaking down my BattleBots top 20 rankings. You might want to get a piece of paper so you can write these down. And take note, these are the bots to watch. Before we get started, I have a couple announcements to make. First, there are two bots that are not competing this year in BattleBots. Two bots of note. There might be others that I didn't notice, but these are the two bots that I noticed there when I scrolled through the list of BattleBots that will be competing this year on the BattleBots website. And those two bots that are not in this year, one of them is Warhead, which is an older bot, and okay, maybe they took the year off, or maybe they're done. I don't know. The other bot is Icewave, and that's a bot of note. Icewave is honestly a championship contender bot, and they're not here this year. So one of the best bots in the game has been removed, and that's going to open the way for a lot of other bots to come in this year. Alright, so let's get into my BattleBots top 20. All these bots are ones that have competed before, so I'm not picking a rookie bots. I haven't seen fight yet, though there are a couple I already have my eye on. One of them being a new bot by Team Waiachi, which I can't wait to watch. But they're not on here until after I actually see them fight and see if they're actually good. Remember, only the top 16 bots get into the playoffs. The top 8 bots are expected to win a round. The top 4 bots are expected to get to the Final Four. And 1 and 2 are expected to play in the championship game. And number 1, of course, come away with the giant nuts. So keep that all in mind when you're categorizing these ones and how they're ranked. So let's get started. Alright, coming in at number 20, we have Hypershock. Now, Hypershock is kind of an odd choice, maybe for a lot of people, because of how bad they were last year. But they have a veteran driver, a very good driver, a decent bot. I can't call it very good, or even good, really. But I think they can come back this year, and they can move up in these rankings, definitely. If they come back and they have a better bot, a more stable bot, because of how good the driver they were last year, their bot was just too bouncy. He couldn't control it. I think if they come back, they have a maybe a heavier bot, maybe one a little lower to the ground. And they come back in with their driving skills. They might get into the top 16, but preseason, just looking at, no. But I think they're one of the better bots out there. Coming in at number 19, we have Gigabyte. Now, Gigabyte, of course, competed last year, lost to Tombstone, and then everybody just kind of forgot how the rest of their fights go, especially because they didn't make the top 16. They come in, I mean, they're powerful, but they get countered. And without a really good driver, I mean, they have a veteran driver, I can't say he's really that good, having not really watched him that much, though. So, I think they come out and they get 1-2 wins in the regular season and don't make the top 16. At number 17, and the last bot that I have not making the tournament is what might be a shocker to you, Bombshell. Bombshell beat Tombstone last year. Enough said, right? Not much more you can do, especially pulling off a 16-1 upset in a 16-bot tournament. That's not supposed to happen. But it did, and they did it. And I think they come out. I think they won't go 0-4 again and make the playoffs like they did last year. That was just retarded. I think they come out, and I think they get 1-2 wins. They contend for the playoffs, but don't make it. That's just how I think about that. Coming in at number 16, we have Duck. Now, Duck is a bot that some of you might not have on this list at all, and some of them you might have them up way higher. The thing that Duck lacks is a weapon, and that's the reason that they're down low. Although they are a sturdy bot, and they almost should have made the top 16 last year, with going 2-2, and their 2 losses being to Tombstone and Bronco, you can't lose to a better 2 bots. So, I mean, as decent as they are, without the weapon, I don't think they have what it takes to go all the way. But I think they can get 2 wins and make it into the tournament. Coming in at number 15, You know how I talked about Gigabyte and them being countered and the powerful but kind of lacking? Well, here's number 15. I have Captain Shredderator. It's almost the exact same bot. But the thing that Captain Shredderator has is they have a very good driver. An underrated driver, but a very good driver. And he wasn't there last year. His son was there. And he said last year that he was going to be back. I haven't actually looked. I should have. To see if he is actually there this year. But if he's there this year, they can get 2 wins to make this tournament. No problem. Just because with a full body spinner, you don't have to be able to get to the side like you do with a lot of other bots. You just have to be able to just avoid the front of their bot, which isn't that hard to do. But it's hard to get to the side, but not so hard to avoid the front. That's what Sonowayachi, which will come up here later, that's what makes them so good, is they don't even have to avoid the front. And that's what makes some of these bots go from good to great. And, I mean, you'll see that with a lot of these bots, is a lot of these bots don't have to get to the side. Some of them do. Some of these bots they just can't really do much against the front of a strong bot. But Captain Shredderator, I think 15, I think that's a safe bet to say that they get into the tournament this year if their driver is back. Coming in at number 14, we have Rotator. Now, Rotator beat Ice Wave last year, which I already said. They're not in this year. Partly because their engine got destroyed by Rotator. In a very shocking fight, really. I think Rotator comes out, and I think their bot, people saw how to beat them last year when Bite Force beat them. And I think nobody's really afraid of them. And they might catch a couple people by surprise, maybe. They might beat up on some of the really low tier bots. But I don't even know if they'll make the top 16. They might even be too far up here. But because they have veteran experience, because they were in the Elite 8 last year, they can get 2 wins. And if they get 1 good win in there, I think they'll make the top 16. Coming in number 13, we have Witch Doctor. Now, Witch Doctor is a bot some of you probably have higher. I'm not really into Witch Doctor. Mostly because they hype up their weapon, they hype up their driver, and they hype up their bot, and then it's not very good. And, I mean, if they get 3 wins in the regular season, they could be a top 8 team. A top 8 seed going into the tournament, but I don't think they will. I think they'll get 2 this year. And people think that they're good, but they're not. And because they think they're good, they're going to put them against other good bots. I think those other good bots will beat them up. And I think they go 2-2. I think they make the tournament almost, again, on that preference of they're good, but I don't actually think they are. Coming in at number 12 is the 5 seed from last year. So I got them way down from last year. And that is Sawblaze. Sawblaze got upset by the 12th seed in the opening round of the tournament last year by Monsoon, which is going to come up here in a sec. I mean, to me, there's a lot of hype around them. They went 3-1. Their one loss being to Bronco. But then I look at their wins. And their wins aren't that impressive. They didn't really beat anyone. And 3-1, as good as it was, I don't really think they deserve that 5 seed. I think in that 12 range, I think that's a good bet for them. To get into the tournament again and try to keep their hype alive. That'll, I'm sure, carry over from last year. I don't think they get the 3rd win, and I don't think they get into the top 8. Coming in at number 11 is a bot that did not make the tournament last year. But I was hyped. Super hyped for. That was Endgame. Endgame is just so good. And yet so bad. As good as they are, as good as their weapon, as well as they hit, is, again, like some of the other bots, their wedge style is kind of like Bite Force, where they don't have to get to the side. It works much better if they get to the side. But like I said, you just gotta get to that front corner. That's really the goal, is to build a bot that can defeat your opponent from the front corner. If you can build a bot that can beat them head on, you just change the game. But that's not really the goal. The goal is to beat the corners. If you can destroy them from the front corners, I think Endgame can. I think their weapon's good enough. I think their bot's sturdy enough. I think their driver's good enough. I think the pit crow's good enough. I think they come out. I think that number 11 is a safe spot for them to get in and possibly pull up a first round upset. They could get 3 wins. If they come out and they get 3 wins, again, top 18. Coming in at number 10, we have Monsoon. And I kind of put Monsoon and Endgame in the same category because they're both rookies last year. Lots of hype around them. And then one delivered and one didn't. Endgame wasn't really given the shot of proving that they're a contender in the tournament, where Monsoon was. And Monsoon delivered. They beat, like I said before, they beat the 5 seed Sawblaze. And honestly, they could have beaten Minotaur if Minotaur hadn't gotten that lucky hit and got him stuck up on the railing. And as good as they are, I think number 10 would be great for them. That's 2 spots higher than they were last year. And you've put yourself in a position to win again. I think if you put them in a position to win again, I think they'll do it. And honestly, they could move up in my rankings throughout the course of the season. They could move up a long way. All right, at number 9, we have Whiplash. And Whiplash was really hyped last year. Made it to the Final Four. Beat Bronco. I mean, super good young driver. Everybody was super into them. I wasn't. I didn't think they were that good. Everybody said, man, they almost beat Tombstone. It's like, no, they didn't. Tombstone destroyed them. They did not almost beat Tombstone. It wasn't even close. So, and they'll have the hype this year. I think they'll get 2 wins, maybe the 3rd. And I think they'll get a high seed just because of how good they did last year. And being how good they did last year, I think will bump them up in the rankings past some bots that might deserve to be higher seeds than them. So I think number 9 I think that's the seed they were last year. So I think that's a good spot for them to be in, to come in at number 9 when I'm sure they'll think that they should be higher. If they come in at number 9 and they get a opening round win again, I think that'd be a great tournament for them. But I don't think they have what it takes to win it all. Coming in at number 8, and 8 on up here is kind of where we start getting the championship contenders. And the first one, at number 8, I have is Yeti. And Yeti got the 8th seed last year. And so, actually, I'm predicting a rematch between Yeti and Whiplash. I didn't think about that. I got Yeti at 8. I think top 8 is a safe bet for Yeti. If you're a betting person. And they have a very good bot, very good driver, but they seem to be kind of inconsistent about how they play. They say that they're always super aggressive, and it doesn't really feel like they always are. I think they'll come out. I think they'll start off 2-0. And then they'll play probably another top 8 bot. Another elite bot. And that's where they'll crumble. They'll lose that. I think they'll go 3-1. And it'll be 3 good wins, but not 3 great wins. I think they'll get in. I think they'll get number 8. And they easily could win an opening round match. And play in that Elite 8. And maybe even get to the Final Four if their bot is working well and if they're driving well. But there's a lot of ifs there. Because, see, they try to take them head on. And like I said, I've been saying this all video. You want to aim for that corner. If you can destroy them at the corner, you have a championship contender bot. Yeti's not really trying to destroy them at the corner, or even at the side. They're trying to take them head on, just use their big drum and just knock, knock, knock until something gives. I don't think that's a consistent way to win in this tournament. And I think they'll get their wins. They are a season on the season 4 or 5-win team. But I don't think they can win it all. They're not there yet. Coming in at number 7, we have Huge. And Huge is a unique bot, to say the least. And the thing that makes Huge so good is that they jumped ahead of the rest of the field. What do I mean by that? Well, when Tombstone really started dominating in 2015, he was just blowing everyone apart. Everybody was just, whoa, how do we stop this guy? And so everything became about how to beat Tombstone. And you saw it come to fruition last year when Bombshell beat him in the opening round. And what everyone decided was the best way to beat Tombstone was with a wedge and then a vertical disc spinner. So you can just have his blade tap at this, and then you hit it and try to get him off balance, and then you can try to control your match against him. And everyone was wondering if that was actually how to do it, because it hadn't worked in 2016. And then last year, Tombstone lost. And you saw that design finally come to fruition. And I think Tombstone's still the bot to beat. And everyone is still trying to beat Tombstone, even though they saw it done once. That everybody wants to do it again. And so I think everybody's still trying to beat Tombstone. I think that design is still very common. And so, while everyone was trying to beat Tombstone, Huge decided to go and beat everyone that is beating Tombstone. They stand no chance against Tombstone. But I don't think they have to play Tombstone. They don't. They don't have to play Tombstone. If all they have to do is beat everyone that beat Tombstone. And you saw that when they played Bite Force. Bite Force could do nothing against them. Just nothing. There was nothing they could do. If Huge doesn't fall apart during that match, break in half like an Oreo. If they don't break in half like an Oreo, we could be talking about a reigning national champion when we talk about my number 7, which is Huge. Coming in at number 6, we have Lockjaw. And Lockjaw, a Final Four bot last year, beat Son of Waiachi, which I think was a good win, a very good win for them. And they're just an all-around great bot with a very veteran team, and lots of money, lots of supporters. You need lots of money. It's an expensive sport. It's not cheap. And for them to come out, and I don't think they have to play in the Desperado tournament this year. I think they come out and they put their foot down and say, we are a contender. Even though nobody really thinks we are, they think they are. I think they'll come out and they'll show it. I think they get 3, possibly 4. It depends whether or not they get placed against another very elite bot during the regular season, which they probably will. So they'll probably only get 3 wins, but I think they're 3 good wins, they're 3 dominant wins, and off of past success, off of having a driver with 6 giant nut wins, and Lockjaw locks up the 6th seed, or at least somewhere in that range of one of the top tier bots this year. Coming in at number 5, we have Son of Waiachi. And Son of Waiachi, the main reason they're here is because of what I said before, where they just obliterate the corner. And it's not even fair. If you haven't seen the fight, you have to look it up. Son of Waiachi versus Lucky. That is the fight of the ages. I don't think you probably will never see as much shrapnel in the BattleBots as there was in that fight ever again. It was a bloodbath, to say the least. And that is what Son of Waiachi can do. And I don't think they'll have any trouble in the regular season. I think they get 3, possibly 4 wins. But once you get into the tournament, there's a lot of other bots that might counter them pretty well. I think that's where they might start running into the issues. I think they'll win their first match, and then we'll see who they have to face in the next round. It's kind of iffy there. But as of right now, they're a contender for the Giant Nut. Hands down, in my mind. I would not be surprised to see Son of Waiachi walk off this season with the Giant Nut. Alright, coming in at number 4, and all 4 of these bots, these are the contenders. I've told you some of these others are contenders. These are the 4. If you think any of these 4 are not contenders, you've gone insane. The first one being Minotaur. Now, a lot of you are saying Minotaur got to the finals last year. Why do you have him at 4 out of these 4 contenders? Well, everybody is kind of put next to it. Yeah, well, you didn't have to play Tombstone. And yes, they didn't. But they got there. And as good as they are, as dominant as they are, I think once again, just like last year, they had to play Tombstone on the very first main event of the year. And they lost that fight, and then they win their next 3. Go 3-1, get the 4 seed, and make a run to the championship game. The thing that makes them so good is that they're much better at destroying the side. They're not really made to destroy the front corner, like I've been saying all day long. They have, in my mind, the greatest driver in the history of BattleBots, in Daniel Freitas. He can take over any match, anytime. And they don't have to attack the front corner, even though they're very capable of destroying from the front corner, even head-on. And they counter a lot of other bots. They also get countered by a lot of bots, and that's kind of where I think they'll run into trouble in the tournament. But coming into the year, I think they're a clear contender for the Giant Nut with the driver and with just everything. Everything is in their favor to win another Giant Nut, except for Bite Force. Bite Force is the only other really championship contender bot that I think can beat Minotaur. Even though Tombstone did it once, I don't know if Tombstone can do it again. As good as Bronco is, I don't know. I think they get outdriven by Daniel Freitas, and then it just becomes whether that drum of Minotaur can eat you away. But it's tough. These final 4 are very tough to put in order, but I think Minotaur's the 4th, even though they made it to the finals last year. Me at number 3, I have Bronco. Now, Bronco is a bot that I love. Bronco is my favorite bot. The first BattleBots fight I ever watched was Bronco versus Blacksmith. If you've never watched a BattleBots fight, that's a good one to go watch. I love that match. That was what fueled my love of BattleBots. To see what Bronco could do, and to hear 6 feet, it's hard to comprehend. 250-pound bot getting launched 6 feet. Then they come out last season, and casually they're launching him 12 feet. That's insane. I think they come out this year. The one thing about Bronco is that every year, when they lose, they come out the next season, and they find a way to counter what they lost to. That's hard to do, but they've done it so far. And even though they lost Whiplash last year, I think that was the biggest upset of the tournament, was them losing to Whiplash, not Bombshell beating Tombstone. I think that was the biggest upset of the tournament. I think they come out, and I think they find a way to counter what Whiplash did to them. I don't know how, but I'm sure they will figure it out. I think they figured that out, and then I think from there, I think they basically have a counter for every other kind of bot in the field. And that's very important when you get to tournament time, because you're going to face a lot of different bots on your path to the Final 4 and maybe a Giant Nut. Coming in at 2, this is a really hard choice for me. I said a little bit ago, I forget when, said a little bit ago, Tombstone was the bot to beat. I have Tombstone number 2. I don't know why. Bite Force. Bite Force won the tournament last year. And everybody put next to it, yeah, but Tombstone lost to Bombshell. I don't care. Bite Force would be in Tombstone. Absolutely. I mean, I have to put Tombstone at 2. Even though I think they are the bot to beat, everyone thinks that they are the bot to beat, I don't think it's true anymore. Even though everyone thinks that, and all the bots are still built to beat Tombstone, it's just not true anymore. Bite Force is the bot to beat this year in BattleBots. And that's why they are number 1. That's right. Bite Force is number 1. Not Tombstone. Tombstone's 2. Bite Force is 1. Because they won. And I think almost just because, I think it's great for them that Tombstone lost to Bombshell. Because they didn't have to beat Tombstone. So everyone's still saying, yeah, but you didn't beat Tombstone. I think they come out, and I hope that they put them against each other in regular season. Because I don't know if they'll... Because they'd have to play each other in the championship game, probably, to play in the tournament. I hope that they make them fight during the regular season. That would be an incredible match. Tombstone versus Bite Force. But, well, everyone's still trying to beat Tombstone. It's just not true anymore. Bite Force is the bot to beat. And there's just no other way to say it. They're so efficient. And they're a bot. They weren't particularly designed to be able to destroy a bot head on. I've been talking about the corners. They were kind of designed to beat the corners and make it almost impossible for the opponent to get to their corners. They found they can just go right underneath you. Their bot is so large and so well centered on its center of gravity, with a wedge that's just so low. And their weapon's not the best. The weapon's not the most powerful, but they're so well designed. They have such a great pit crew. They have a good enough weapon. They have a very good driver. And they have confidence. They have a swagger. And they believe they can do this. And they have money, which I mean, that always helps. And they're the champion. And even though Tombstone is still the bot to beat, Bite Force is still number 1. So, there's my BattleBots Top 20. I hope you got a piece of paper and wrote these down so you can remember them and follow along as I update this list every week that I make a change to it throughout the BattleBots season. I hope you all put in the comments below what you think of my list, or what changes you think, what bots are missing from here that should be on here somewhere, which bots are on here which really shouldn't be, which ones are too high, which ones are too low. Please, put in the comments below. Let me know. I would love to hear what you have to say.